Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. The story begins by showing a vague memory of our protagonist named Sable. He can't remember who he or the woman was in his memory. He only remembers her telling him that she will take him to a world that is more suited for him. 3 years later, Sable attends a magic academy and students stare at a message that summons Sable to see the headmaster. The students assume he will be expelled considering he is the lowest ranked at the academy. Sable approaches the headmaster's office and meets Professor Lowe, as she is throwing a tantrum for not being able to enter. He explains that he has been summoned, and she welcomes Sable as she sees him as her opportunity to get in. He doesn't want to get in trouble, so he refuses to let her use him, but she calls upon her staff Luden and threatens to take Sable's life if the headmaster doesn't open the door. A guard named Hold'em appears to help and manages to knock Lowe's staff away, but when Sable goes to pick it up, he is warned by both of them to not touch it. The headmaster Albus appears and is shocked to see that Lowe has somehow made it into the academy. In the office, Albus explains that she would like for Sable to take part in a special field program since she can't see him progressing within the academy, and hopes he will develop better in a different environment. She explains that the church and witches were at war until recently. However, even after the war ended, some parts of the south still conduct witch hunts. She tests Sable's knowledge and he explains that the reason why witch hunts aren't carried out in the kingdom where the academy is located is because of a war started 10 years ago by the evil sorcerer named 13. He caused it by spreading magic throughout the kingdom and was executed for it. While the use of magic has been made common within the kingdom, the south still sees witches and mages as unusual. For this reason, she has decided to create a witch village where witches are treated as normal and wants Sable to serve as a mage there. However, if after 3 years the supervisor deems him unfit, then all his memories of magic and the academy will be sealed away. Lowe then proclaims that she will accompany him on the treacherous journey. Albus explains she has already chosen an escort, but Lowe explains that she has sent that escort away and exchanged jobs with her. She reveals that all that is required for her assistance is permission to pursue the world's first manual on magic, the Grimoire of Zero. The text is forbidden, but the headmaster agrees to let her meet the author of the grimoire, the Mud Black Witch, if she successfully escorts Sable. As their journey is about to begin, they meet their other traveling companion named Holt, and are interrupted by a beast that has also been invited into the program named Kudo. He explains that he will not require an escort and recommends that Sable go back to the academy to drop out since he is the worst student and doesn't belong. As they eat, Holt is shocked to see Lowe feed her staff food. When she realizes that it is the staff Luden, she explains that when someone touches it, it consumes their magic and kills them. Lowe explains that she has a pact with the staff that says even when her magic is fully depleted, Luden's keeps her alive. That night, Holt demonstrates her exceptional skills and Sable compliments her on how smart and nice she is. She explains that before entering the academy, she had to become this way as it was a struggle to even get a meal without a smile. Realizing that everyone has their own issues, she asks what Sable's story is. He reveals that he doesn't remember anything before the academy, and if he were to fail this mission, he will lose the memories of the academy as well, making him truly empty. Lowe asks about his magic abilities, and he explains that his spells go out of control, and when he tries to restrain them, he can't cast at all. However, after 3 years, he has managed to cast a few spells, and with diligent training wants to expand his repertoire. Lowe warns that magic use is a relatively new concept, and that some might see his training and come to fear or even detest it. Elsewhere, we see two men discuss which of the two groups they will attack. They mock one of the groups for having a lizard beast fallen, as the beasts had originally been used as sacrifices by the witches, and it is odd that one of them is studying magic. They choose that group and declare that there will never be peace between the church and the witches. The next day, the trio's lunch is interrupted by Kudo's party members saying that Kudo took their map and went off on his own. Lowe is a bit skeptical as to why he would do this, and the two men say that all he said was that they are deadweight small fry that can't even cast spells. Lowe reveals that Kudo must have sensed that witch hunters were nearby and did all that to make sure they would be safe. She believes it is her fault for allowing him to go separately and vows to go help him. The others want to help, but she denies them as they would only get in the way against witch hunters. However, in their room, they decide they can't just sit idly by and use magic to track her location. As they track her down, they spot a portion of Kudo's tail that had been cut off, and wonder if he had been killed. They notice the footprints of Kudo, Lowe, and the witch hunter. Holt is shocked to see that there had only been one witch hunter, and yet Kudo decided to run instead of fight, prompting her to consider turning back. She recalls being taught in class about a group called Dia Ignis, ruthless death row inmates that had been hired by the church to hunt witches, and how they will stop at nothing to kill a witch. Elsewhere, we see that Kudo attempts to hide from the hunter but only ends up being caught in his trap. Sable and Halt hear the scream from Kudo in the distance and understand that it would be best to run, but decide they cannot leave when someone they know is in trouble. Kudo is then confronted by the Dia Ignis member that the church refers to as the Tyrant. He tries to run away, but his efforts prove useless as the Tyrant is too strong. The Tyrant notices that Kudo's wounds have healed and decides to take him alive as the church might want to use him as a lab rat. Kudo then has a memory of his past when he was caged and used as part of a cruel magic act. He begins to abandon his goals of becoming strong and protecting others as he realizes he can't even protect himself. He thinks back to when he told the headmaster his plans to travel alone, and how she vouched for the odd but powerful Lo. Kudo's attempts to keep himself from being taken only result in crushed arms, and just when his head is about to be smashed, Lo arrives to save him. She is dominating the fight with her powerful staff just as they hear Sable and Halt call for Kudo in the distance. Lo yells at them to run, but it is too late. The Tyrant has found them and catches Sable. Lo explains that killing him will still only result in his death as well, but the Tyrant explains that all that can be avoided if she exchanges herself and her Luden staff for Sable. She refuses at first, but after he proves that he is not bluffing, she is forced to agree. The Tyrant instructs Sable to pick up the staff covered in cloth and tells Holt to tie up Lo. Everyone is surprised to hear that he knows her name, and he tells her to come clean about how the church sent her to the academy as a spy for the anti-witch faction. She reveals that she was called the child of a demon since she started growing horns at a young age. They were cut off and she was told to hide them as they are proof of her tainted soul. She was told to be a spy for the church and give them information, not only while at the academy but for the entirety of her life. She would go on to rank at the top of the academy, and eventually the headmaster would reveal her recruitment into the magic division of the army once she graduated. She would go on to wonder if she should come clean to them about everything, but was unsure. When offered to go on the 3-year special program, she took it immediately as it meant she could put off her decision and simply continue studying magic. Sable asks that she not be too hard on herself, and she can't understand why he isn't furious. She decides to make a stand and use Kudo's tail to summon a powerful attack, but the Tyrant uses his cloak to stop it. He begins his counterattack just as the Luden staff speaks to Sable, demanding that he use it. Lo begs he not touch it, but he apologizes for being dead weight and picks it up. She then must beg Ludens to stop and to release Sable, but it is no use as magic flows uncontrollably. Later, Sable wakes up to find that everyone is okay. However, Lo scolds him relentlessly, explaining how wielding Luden is suicide. Her lecturing would not stop there as she has a bone to pick with everyone, including her staff, for tempting Sable the way it did. Sable would eventually wonder why he had not died after touching the staff, and Lo explains that it was simply because his magic exceeded what the Ludens could siphon away. Everyone is shocked, and she goes on to say that his magic is evidently infinite, which would explain his struggle to control his spells. She sighs at the fact that Ludens had only expended magic for the past 300 years, but now its belly is all full. She then convinces Kudo to join their group, and he explains he must get his tail first so he can reattach it. However, Holt must apologize to him as she has used it in a spell. Sometime later, Holt can't understand how no one in the group has any doubts about her and believes them all to be too nice. She then explains how she grew up being told to serve the church in order to cleanse her tainted soul. However, after studying at the academy, she discovered that she might actually be a beast fallen, which is when a witch bestows the soul of a beast upon a warrior who seeks strength. She feels much better recently as Lo confirmed it to be true, and also when she realized that Sable had not talked poorly of Kudo, who is also a beast fallen. After she leaves, Lo appears and expresses her disappointment at Sable, as she believes Holt would have let him put the moves on her, but is glad to see him struggle with relationships as it is very entertaining. Later, Lo decides they must regrow Kudo's hands before their journey can begin, but he reveals he is incapable of producing the magic power required to do so, as he would pass out before even making one finger. However, she explains it won't be a problem as they have Sable and his infinite pool of magic. She then explains that the most efficient way to do the spell is to touch a mucous membrane where blood vessels can be felt like those in a kiss. This is out of the question, so the next best option is through the hand. The spell begins as they join hands and Kudo says the incantation. His hands and tail are healed and everyone in the tavern celebrates. Lo explains that half the people love magic but the other half hate it, and since they have already experienced the hate at the hands of the tyrant, now it is time to seek out the praise. The group arrives at a large city when it is decided that the first task is to take a bath. There, Kudo explains that he joined the academy so he could get in the Church and Mage Army, and more specifically, the elite Beastfallen unit. He has never been strong, so his only chance is to become a mage. Furthermore, he had been rescued by the man that would go on to become the symbol of the Church and Mage Army, and so he made it his goal to be just like him. Before Sable can explain his reasons for wanting to become a mage, they are interrupted by Lo, who explains she is much older than them and makes them leave the bath, but they only end up running into Holt. Everyone panics and Kudo finds the nearest towel so that she can cover up, but that just so happens to be Sable's. From then on, the journey would go smoothly, even allowing time for Lo to teach them hunting methods for fun. Sable explains that in all his years at the academy, he has never felt as safeguarded as he does now thanks to Lo. The group would like to know what she plans on doing after she escorts them, and she explains she will be going to see the Black Mud Witch, the inventor of magic and the author of the Grimoire Zero. She goes on to say that she simply wants to do it to escape boredom, since after being alive for 300 years, she has grown tired of breathing. However, as long as Ludens is by her side, she will continue living forever. This also means she does not require food, sleep, or even the need to produce offspring, so love and romance are meaningless too. She concludes that all that is left with meaning for her is fun, and anything that can bring her entertainment, even if it is a bit abnormal. She does think though that the current journey with them is particularly enjoyable, although it will be ending soon. Just then, a boy warns them to hide because if they are found they will be killed. They get to safety and the boy explains that the barrier was set earlier by a witch from the village, and is activated when someone uses a set of particular words. Their predator arrives, demanding the boy show himself, or else he will break the legs of the other child that had been found. Unfortunately, the barrier does not block sound, so he hears and exposes them. He somehow knows that they are there for the field program, and warns that they will not be able to cast a spell in time since they are so close to him. He recommends that one of them should have hid, just as he realizes that one actually did. Lo appears and buys enough time for her students to run. However, she can't attack when she realizes he has an accomplice that will act if he is killed. He reveals that she should actually be more concerned about her students, as they will not be prepared for what waits them at the village. Thanks for watching part 1 of this series. Future parts will be linked in a pinned comment below.